Hey everyone, welcome back. This is Mandy. So I am gonna probably make some coasters in a little while, but I had a 10-inch MDF already taped up. I have a bunch of MDF rounds I need to get taped up and ready to paint on. I think I might actually be out of 8-inch ones, so we're going a little bigger. So I'm gonna try to do a bloom today on this little guy. And I just kind of grabbed some random colors, you know, like I have so many things mixed up that I kind of needed to pick a few regular paint colors and then just pick something to make it a little sparkly. So I started off thinking I was going to use Alizarin Rose from Colourarte, Vivid Intense, and Phthalo Turquoise from Colourarte, Vivid Intense, and I was like, okay, and then let's either do Indian Yellow or Cad Yellow. Oh, Hansa Yellow. So I had Indian Yellow out, which is this color, which you've probably seen in a previous bloom. But then I decided on using Tiger Lily as a pigment because I've had it mixed up a while and I need to use it. And it's this beautiful frosty yellow. And so I was like, well, that may not work. So I decided to go with Hansa Yellow Light, which I really love. So that'll make it even brighter. And then I'm going to use the Deep Violet from Colourarte Vivid Intense. And my other pigment I'm going to use is Harvest Fire from Colourarte. So this is actually Harvest Fire is a Bling It color. So that is not a primary element. It doesn't have dry paint in it. It's a pure mica. So, and it's a really beautiful color. I've had it mixed up a long time and I haven't used it. So I thought, well, this is a very bright color palette. So it should actually complement what we're doing very nicely. So I'm going to just go for it. I really should be resining things I've already done instead of making new things because I need to stop being terrible about creating things and not finishing them. But you know, here we are. I also need to use up paint, so you got to create things if you're going to use up some of your paint. And so I figured I need to restock my Etsy shop with some coasters. I need to use up some old paint. So before I go coaster crazy over here, I thought, let's make a pretty bloom. So here we are. Hopefully it's going to be pretty. So popping some bubbles in my paint. I need to be more careful about that because my other paint is right here. Anyway, so I'm using the bloom recipe. If you're new to my channel, excuse me, I have a tutorial in the description box where I show you kind of what I typically use. So that's good to refer to. I've taken the course myself, but this is one of those techniques that it is, some people just catch on really easily. I've been doing this for like 2 years and there's still days that I'm like, what happened, you know? So if you're practicing and getting discouraged, trust me, it's a process. So we're going to start with the Hansa Yellow Light. I enjoy starting with a color like that on the bottom because I like when it shows up kind of in the background. And I really like the way reds and magentas look over the yellow. So when I'm layering, that's going to be kind of my thought process. I am going to put the Alizarin Rose on top, but first I'm going to layer some of this Tiger Lily. Where are my bubble popper thingamajiggers? There they are. Because I just thinned this out a little bit with some Jo Sonja, so naturally it's bubbly now. So Tiger Lily, well, ooh, there's a lump of something in there. I'm gonna kind of put it not in a perfect puddle because I want it to peek through, but I also want, and that's pretty. I say I'm not gonna make it a full puddle and then I just keep piling it on. Okay. I do love my sparkles. Okay, the Alizarin Rose. This is a beautiful color. So Alizarin Rose is sort of like a bright, almost like a watermelon pink. So it's not quite a magenta and it's not a red. So it's a beautiful, it's just a beautiful color. So it's a great way to incorporate. It's not like a hot pink, but it is bright. It's very bright. So it would kind of work like almost like having a almost fluorescent color would. Okay, now we're gonna do some deep violet. Oh wait, gotta do the harvest, whatever this is, fire. What did I tell y'all? Yeah, harvest fire. Okay, we're gonna put a little bit of that one in there. Nothing too crazy. Okay, so because the harvest fire is a little bit orangey, I'm gonna go next with the deep violet to kind of buffer that before we put the Phthalo turquoise. Orangey and turquoise are very complementary looking. I just don't want them to be muddy. Although the harvest fire is a regular mica, so it's not going to be as tempted to mix as like something that like a dry paint has paint in it, so paint colors mix, you know. So anyway, I'm just blabbering. I just like to tell you guys what I'm thinking when I know. I don't always have thoughts, but when I have them, I like to explain myself because I always appreciate that. So, this would be pretty even if I never even added this Phthalo turquoise, but I like the contrast that this one should provide us. We're going to use a black cell activator. So I'm also going to drizzle a little bit of white because I like how white, you have to be careful not to use too much, but I like how it gives you some of the kind of the cool cells at the top under a black cell activator. So there's the Phthalo turquoise from Colourarte. So the Colourarte non-sparkly colors we're using today are from the Vivid Intense Fluid Acrylic line, and I love them. So if you haven't heard, Leslie came up with a new fluid acrylic line called Vivid Intense. I have the 2 sets now, and there's 2 others I don't have yet. The 2 new ones are iridescent and metallic looking, so they're so much fun to work with. I love working with fluid acrylics for blooms, so I was super excited when she developed that. This may be too much white right here in the center. Let me, yikes, I almost spilled my yellow. I'm gonna just mask this one a little bit right here because it's gonna be right in the center. And I wanted that to be a little bit more sparing. Okay, so anyway, 20% off of Colourarte using Mandy1120. The code is in the description box. And the colors are beautiful. We're going to use, excuse me, a black cell activator. I'm using M Graham Lamp Black as my paint, mixed with Aussie Floetrol. I don't measure per se, but I usually start about 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint, depending on your consistency, your weather, all that stuff. You really have to look for consistency more than anything. The consistency I go for is about what you would see in heavy whipping cream is probably the best way I can describe it. I have a 10% off coupon code for Pixel Paint Designs in the description box below, which is where I get my Australian Floetrol. Ships from the United States, super reasonable, fast. I also get boom gels from her, so just so you know. I always keep that in the description box, but I don't always remember to tell you. So, all right, so here we are. I hope this is going to be pretty. It's gloomy and rainy outside, so if we made a happy bloom, that would be fun, right? I also get my 2 tube paints like Amsterdam, Blick, Graham, all that I just mentioned from Blick. And I have a link in the description box for the Blick's online website too. Okay, here we go. Uh-oh. And I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with this one. It felt like I used plenty of cell activator, but I feel like I'm running out. So, whew, lightheaded. Okay. I'm a little nervous about this part right here. This didn't do well here. I don't know what happened. I ran out of cell activator before I got around the circle. But let's see if we can't make it work. And usually black, because my black was mixed up a little thinner, usually you get better coverage with it, but it felt like my paints were a little thick. I think maybe I used too much in the layering, but I'm a little concerned about this cell right here being crazy looking. All right, so there's some parts that are wild, but I'm gonna pop a couple bubbles and see if but see some of this, like I'm blowing too hard or something and I'm losing my cells and my lacing, but we do have quite a bit sprinkled throughout. So what I'm thinking is that my pigment color might have been mixed really thick. But also this is a 10-inch bloom, so you might be like, okay, big deal, 8 to 10. But when you get used to blowing out 4 inches, going to 6 is a big deal. When you get used to, you know, 8, going bigger can be a big deal, especially if your pillow paint or your paints are thick. So just be mindful that what seems like it should be simple is not always. So the colors are great together. Not as much yellow peeking through initially as I would expect. However, it's going to stretch out. So I think hoping that once we get this to the edge, the places that are not blown out very well will kind of be balanced out by the places that are. So before we give it a shot, I'm going to just pop some of these bubbles that I can see, because we don't want them to turn into ugly cells as we spin. Some of the parts are really beautiful, but like right here, it's really dark. So I kind of feel like I should have used, it's like a delicate balance between using too much white and not using enough. It's almost like I maybe should have drizzled some of the purple on the top too, because Phthalo Turquoise is a semi-transparent color, but it will dry dark. So I'm hoping that as we spin this out, we're going to have enough color contrast of the light and dark so that the black cell activator won't be like too dramatic. All right. Now this is probably going to go to the edge, but because there's some funky looking places that don't look great, I am going to try to help it along a little bit. Okay. That looks all right. And this looks kind of funky right here. I don't know that I want to go in there though. This right here where I tried to make the cell activator go out further because I was running out, it's like the cells just went like they were trying to run away from me. Like, no, there's no more cell activator for you here. Please go away. Okay. The color combination though, kudos to me. It's a great one. Now, whether it turns out to be a great bloom or not has yet to be determined, but all right. We're going to gently spin. Let's see what opens up with the initial spin. Again, kudos to me on the color combo. It's just the execution may not have been my best effort, but especially right here, this is where I figured out what I was doing was going in the wrong direction, and unfortunately I don't know that I fixed that well enough, but I tried to self-correct a little bit with this yellow. I don't think anything I just did is helpful at all, but it's going to be a big yellow pop. There's still some really obnoxious bubbles. Again, some of this paint has been mixed up for a little bit, and when I thinned it down or stirred it up, the bubbles, they're always taunting me. Hey, but can I say that the deep violet peeking across that Alizarin rose and that Hansa yellow is just amazing looking. So I would contend that the colors I picked are spot on. Now, the execution of my bloom needs some work, but I think we're going to rescue it. I think we're going to make something beautiful out of something that had the potential to be very wacky. Okay, see these dumb bubbles pop through to that white, and then before you know it, you've got huge white dots in your painting that you got to somehow correct. And you can correct them. You can go back in and kind of dot them with a paintbrush, but if you can get them, as annoying as it is to do it in your painting, if you can get them earlier, you'll thank me. Okay. You'll be like, you'll thank you. This is your painting. Okay. Spinning a little bit more. It's opening up very nicely. Now, this part right here is real funky looking, and I don't really think there's much I can do to fix that, except for maybe but it's not so funky that you're like, oh, deal breaker, you know. It's still pretty. And there is still some cells coming through, so we're starting to see the contrast that we needed. So yay for that. Some of these I can see them, but they're small, and so they don't want to be popped. But I really need to pop them if I can. And I love the little pop of white in the right places. It just creates some really beautiful cells. And I mean, the depth of color in these cells is quite incredible. Even though we don't have perfect composition, the parts that are on point are gorgeous. So I really think the combo I picked was fabulous. We just have to get it to the end with a successful composition. So what you see me doing, in case, I'm sure you guys already know what to do with bubbles, but once I pop them and the pillow comes through, I just go straight down with my little pokey thingy. And what I'm using is some like needle nose tweezers. I don't know what you actually use these for in life, but I use the sharp pointy edge to poke dots and to get things out of resin and that kind of, I mean, they're covered with all kinds of paint and resin. You guys, this color combination is really awesome, if I do say so myself. I mean, I always love a colorful bloom with like a bright and dark combo. It's just sometimes hard to execute well without mud. So when you get the colors to go well together, it's like, hello, look at that beautiful bloom. I hope you can see these details. Let me make sure my phone's not auto-focusing. Oh, okay, you can. This is already a long video. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You know, I used to obsess about, and sometimes I still do, but this is too long. Nobody's going to want to watch this. And I'm like, you know what? I'm inviting you to paint with me. And this is how long it takes. And sometimes when someone's learning, listening to how someone corrects something or thinks through something can be really valuable. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I personally enjoy listening to people process as they paint. I know that's not everyone's cup of tea. If you're really more going for the entertainment value, I get that. But it's also a good way for me to come back if I like a color palette and be like, okay, how did I do that? How did I layer it? You know? So it's also useful for me later. It's kind of like a little journal. I really want to mess with this, but I'm afraid anything I do is going to make it worse. So I need to leave it alone. I have sadly not learned from my mistakes enough in the past when I have messed with things and I shouldn't have. So now I need to get this ugly stuff to the edge. So I'm thrilled to pieces with most of it. I mean, even though it's not perfect composition, the colors are amazing. Under resin, you're going to be able to see all of that depth of color. Now this is probably a popped bubble here that looks like a cell, and it's ugly, so I'm going to stab it. All right, let's give it another spin. I'm really happy I tried these colors together. Wonder how happy I would be if I got the composition like rock solid, you know? Look at that. But also, when you go bigger, obviously, the bigger the surface, the more stretched out your color is going to get, and the more you're going to be able to see some of your color. Like, if I were to do this on a tile, for example, like a coaster, it would be pretty. But you'd have to get your blow just right to see all of the colors represented well. But on a bigger bloom, because you're going to have kind of pockets of color that pop and pockets that don't, you have really nice color representation that you may not have on a smaller one. So, you know, when you see something on like a coaster or something and you're like, yes, do that on a 12-inch or whatever, it's going to look completely different. The colors, I mean, they'll all be there, but the way they show out will be completely different. So this part is the part where my cell activator kind of ran out and I was trying to make it work. And all I really did was smear my cells. So that looks kind of funny, but if you stand back and you look at the whole picture, and I realize you can see my spinner edge right now, but if you look at the whole picture, the bloom is beautiful. There's some places here that I'd like to get to the edge where we don't have so much white showing. So we're gonna go again to spin. But honestly, considering how I ran out of cell activator about 3/4 of the way around and I had some issues, this has turned out quite lovely in spite of it. Now, this part is really the only part that's tripping me up right now. So, and that harvest fire, the way that kind of peeks through, it's awesome because it kind of adds an orangey pinkish color. So this almost kind of looks like we did a bloom with fluorescent colors. I love it. All right, there's some horrible bubbles over here, like a lot of them too. I don't understand why. They don't want to pop. They're hiding from me. These cells right here, come on. Okay, I need to give it a good push and see if I can't get that closer to the edge. I'd like to get rid of the white because we don't really have any negative space, so I don't really want white just hanging out there. Almost. You guys are probably like, that's annoying. I'm sorry. This part still bothers me, but if we had to leave it there, I could live with that. So, oh man. These colors are incredible. This white part is irritating me. And I probably honestly created that when I did the swirly poo. Okay. Pretty much got it to the edge. Is it perfect? No, but it looks pretty amazing. And it's not really moving much anymore, so I think we probably better give it one more tiny spin and stop. So then I'm going to bring you down for a close-up. I think the colors are outstanding. I hope you like them too. Thank you for enduring a longer video with me. Sometimes they're just going to be longer, and it kind of takes me out of my zone to like be too worried about that. So, and I could do voiceovers, but I do think you miss some of the value of the process. And so sometimes I do voiceovers when I just want to paint and I don't want to talk while I do it. Or various things, you know, there's stuff going on in my house, can't do it. But sometimes when I can, I personally would rather hear somebody talk me through it. And so I don't always want to give you guys the speedy version of the bloom. This part here kind of gets on my nerves. That's not helping. So it's just going to get on my nerves, I guess. Like, I don't mind the like ribbon look. It's just that there really isn't that look anywhere else anymore, but right here. So that's not helping anything. So, and I'm making that white part worse because I have paint on my tweezers. All right, I'm going to bring you down for a close-up. Is it the best composition? No. But is it a success? I will say yes. I think this is one of the most beautiful color combinations I think I've ever done. So I'm going to bring you down, and yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, so here it is. I think it's gorgeous. This is the crazy part, but if you look at the whole thing, it's not too bad. Crazy part and all. This is the part I don't like on the edge, but again, you look at the whole thing, not a deal breaker. But look at these colors. Look at those cells. Whew. I mean, I'm so tempted to just go get something else and just make another one right now. Look, see what I mean about the white? You see what it does? So neat. Anyway, some of my favorite cell colors are when you use a really light, bright yellow or orange at the bottom, and then you have all these colors kind of create those peacock cells. I love that. Anyway, I'm just really digging this. Look at these cells. So cute. And this right here is why you don't want a lot of white in one spot. As that dries though, the color will show more. I love these cute little cells over here. So yeah, is it perfect? Absolutely not. Do I love it? Yes, I love it. Crazy and all. This is probably my favorite part right here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. I do show resined results eventually when I get them done, and I usually show those as shorts. So anyway, I hope that you like it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and let me know you're here. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.